Thank you so very much for your testimony. We'll now go to Mary Turner, who is joining us on Zoom. Ms. Turner, are you able to hear us?
Oh my God, I forgot.
Yes, I am.
Okay, so state your name for the record and give us your 2 minutes of testimony. Welcome.
Thank you. Honorable Chair and Committee, my name is Mary C. Turner, and I have been the Board Chair of Isuroon since 2018. As a labor leader and, more importantly, an actively working ICU nurse, I believe in advocating for all Minnesotans to be able to experience the American dream, especially our underserved immigrant entrepreneurs, because I know that a financially stable society is a healthy society. I urge you to assist Isuroon, a proven, effective advocate for the people, by supporting Senate File 2828. Help us to break down financial barriers, promote sustainable growth, and strengthen local economies by ensuring inclusive economic empowerment for all Minnesotans. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your testimony. We sincerely appreciate it. Committee, any questions for the testifier or Senator Gruenhagen? Seeing none, Senator Gruenhagen, you can give us briefly your final comments before we lay Senate File number 2828 on the table for possible inclusion.
Yeah, and what this nonprofit has done, again, I just referenced the financial statement. They got 5 stars, so they're very accountable. And they're trying to help minorities and women take a step up and not continual handouts. And I think that's the direction that we want to go. The other thing, they have just proven themselves to reach out not only to the metro area, but like I mentioned, over 72 zip codes, over 17,000 people last year, they have reached out to and assisted in a number of different areas.
Thank you.
Thank you. And what's the path for this bill? What's the path for this bill?
This bill will be laid over for possible inclusion. Okay. With that being said, Senate File number 2828 will be laid over for possible inclusion.
I was nervous. I forgot to thank Senator Gruenhagen, who have been there for us forever. I appreciate you so much.
Thank you so much. Senator Gruenhagen, time is of the essence.
Okay, I wanted her to repeat that last statement. No.
No, thank you. We heard it loud and clear, Senator Gruenhagen. With that being said, Senate File number 2828 is laid over for possible inclusion. Thank you so very much. What we're going to do now is resort back to the beginning of our agenda. We're going to paid family and medical leave update. This will take a little longer just so everyone else understands, because this is something that has been asked about, or an overview has been asked by this committee. We've had a couple times where we've had some overview. So what I've asked Mr. Rowe to do is to just give us a brief synopsis in the very beginning of like 7 minutes, just making sure that we can cover those things, and then we'll get directly to asking questions, because we want to give you more time in order to ask the questions before we go to the rest of the bills. With that being said, welcome to the committee. Mr. Rowe, identify yourself for the record and proceed with your testimony and your overview.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members of the committee, my name is Evan Rowe. I'm Deputy Commissioner at the Department of Employment and Economic Development. I believe I'm joined over Zoom by Paid Leave Division Director Greg Norfleet. He would be here, but he has the flu today, and we don't want to infect you all in the middle of the session. I have a slide deck. Members should have that. I will go. And it's a very lengthy slide deck. We wanted to provide as much context as possible, but we will actually skip a lot of the intro to paid leave content, since I think members of this body are already fairly familiar with that. And we're going to go straight into the section subtitled Delivering Early and Often, just as that's kind of the primary focus on the implementation updates that members had asked for. So I'm just going to skip ahead. I don't see the deck projecting on the screen here, but I'm not, but if members can follow, oh, there we are, perfect. Thank you. I'll go quickly at the chair's request, but please feel free to stop me if you have any questions. In this section, we're really just talking about some of the milestones that the program has already hit and is in the process of hitting in order to ensure a successful delivery of this program by January 1, 2026. First is wage detail reporting. This is a quiet but really important milestone. The Paid Leave Division has already partnered with the Unemployment Insurance Division to start collecting wage detail reports, and it will be ready to take premium payments when the statutory deadline begins in April of 2026. So over 160,000 employers have already completed their initial wage detail for paid leave by submitting their regular UI report. It's simple, it ties in with existing business processes, and it means minimal to no additional overhead for businesses in this part of the program. We confirmed that the premium rate for paid leave is going to be 0.88% upon launch. Paid leave is financed by premiums collected from employee payroll deductions and employer contributions. Premiums are applied on wages up to the Social Security cap, or the OASDI cap, which this year is $176,100. That total premium rate covers both family leave and medical leave. And premiums are shared between employers and employees. Again, the first premiums are due April 30 of 2026. Starting Jan 1 of 26, employers can deduct up to 50% of premiums from employee paychecks, but employers can choose to pay more than their required portion for some or all employees. Worth noting that there is a reduced premium rate for small employers that's covered in the bill. For small employers, their standard contribution is reduced by half. So to qualify, an employer must have 30 or fewer employees and an average employee wage of 150% or less of the statewide average wage. The reduced employer premium doesn't impact the amount owed by employees, but it is a support to small businesses as we implement this program. Wanted to talk briefly about rulemaking. The department has been engaged in rulemaking since 2024 and is kind of in the final stages of this process. We've conducted rounds of public comment, received hundreds of comments, and conducted almost 20 virtual engagement sessions with lots of attendees. We've issued our notice of intent to adopt rules, and then we are kind of in the final process of getting the package over to the Office of Administrative Hearings, which we hope will be able to complete the process timely. As far as the equivalent or private plan process, made a lot of good progress with the Department of Commerce to develop a straightforward process to evaluate equivalent plan applications. Insurance carriers are already able to submit plans to the Department of Commerce for review. This basically creates an equivalent plan insurance market in advance of our go live for exemptions. To that end, the Paid Leave Division is building out a straightforward and user-friendly application for employers to apply for an equivalent plan exemption. So registered employers will be able to apply for an exemption, upload plan documentation, and submit payment all in a single place. What you see on this slide here is actually, a draft of what this is going to look like. We're trying to make it really common sense. You'll see, we expect that it'll take a typical business 10 to 15 minutes to complete this process. So, simplicity and clarity is our goal in all that we are doing to roll this program out for Minnesotans. Want to emphasize that we have been working, closely with businesses, organizations, and individuals all across the state to make the paid leave program work better for Minnesotans. We've held over 150 engagement sessions with a variety of stakeholders to answer questions and gather input on the program. In fall of 2024, in partnership with the Minnesota Chamber Federation, we hosted 17 in-person events across the state with over 1,200 attendees, one of whom I believe is the ranking member of the committee. So thank you, Senator Draheim, for coming out to the Mankato event. Along with representatives from the UI program, we've also set out to help employers prepare for the program. We're learning a ton as we go along, and that feedback is collected and makes a difference in terms of how we roll out the program. And just a nice little photo of our Wilmer employer session. A little bit about technology delivery. We are using best practices to deliver an excellent customer experience for both employers and for applicants. Our development teams are made up of staff from the Paid Leave Division, our partners at the Minute at Deed team, and then a vendor, Nava PBC, which has expertise in developing kind of social benefit programs around the country, and doing so in a really user-centered, modern way. We've established product management functions and leveraged some kind of some accelerator tools that the vendor has to deliver against an aggressive roadmap. Software testing, I'll just skip this, but we're doing lots of software testing. Program integrity, I'd say that we are off to the races in terms of having all the components that we need to run a program with the level of integrity that Minnesotans can and should expect on behalf of the department. And the division is hiring. We are, I think, well on pace to meet our objectives in terms of rolling out this program for Minnesotans successfully on January 1 of 2026. And I'll just note that we've responded to over 1,200 direct questions from the public, many from employers, many from applicants through our website, and we are building out our customer contact function well over a year before launch. And we expect to be launching outbound voice and dedicated support very soon. Mr. Chair, I think I'm at 6 minutes and 38 seconds. That was the very fat rapid-fire implementation update, but I'll pause there for any member questions.
Well, thank you so very much. And members, just so you know that when paid family and medical leave came through the process, it was its own separate bill. It was not included in our bill. And so if there are going to be any changes to paid family and medical leave, that will still be a separate bill because it's not our bill. So I just want to make sure that everyone's clear about that because we believe in consistency. But we wanted to make sure that we were being very thoughtful for those who want to ask some questions. So with that being said, Senator Draheim, fire away with questions, and we want to make sure that we give you more than enough time by which to do that. And I do see Senator Nelson, you're also on the list. So, but we'll start with Senator Draheim.
Thank you, Chair, and I think that last comment was probably directed at me. We'll have to check what chapter of law that refers to.
No.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your presentation, as speedy as it was. I guess, you know, having attended one of the meetings, and I thought your team did a great job trying to get the information out there. And, you know, I know that's the first step. But with 150 meetings and 1,200 questions you've answered through the portal, it sounds like there's still a lot of questions out there. And, you know, we're running out of time. You know, it's supposed to go live here in a few months, or the start of it. And, you know, my first question is rulemaking. When are we going to be finalized with that? We started a year ago. Where are we at with rulemaking?
Yep.
And I understand that we have Greg Norfleet, who's the Director of Paid Leave for DEED, who's virtual. So anytime that we need to refer to him, just make sure that we are aware of that. Deputy Commissioner Rowe.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Senator Draheim. Yes, we are. I'd say we are in sort of the final. We are in the final phases of submit. And I'll just flip back to the slide. In the final phases of kind of synthesizing the comments that we've received, and we're planning to submit the final rules to OAH imminently. And then OAH has their own review process, which we don't control. I would say that given the we are confident that given the very robust public communication plan and public comment process that we've had, there shouldn't be any surprises in the rulemaking, and we hope that we expect that will go very smoothly.
Senator Draheim.
Thank you. Follow-up, I guess, would be, so very soon, is that days, weeks, months?
Deputy Rowe.
In terms of our submission, so we don't control the deadlines around OAH, of course, because they're an independent they're an independent statutory body. I would say days to a few weeks in terms of our finalization.
Okay.
Senator Draheim.
Thank you. And then if we could, Deputy Commissioner, go to the technology delivery building as one team.
Mm-hmm.
Could you go into more detail about the different aspects of the system and who is responsible for these deliveries?
Deputy Commissioner Rowe.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll respond briefly, and then I'll actually pitch this over to Director Norfleet just to expand a little bit. When we say one team, what we mean by that is the response. It is the division's responsibility to ensure that that everything coheres and fits together. We are working with multiple partners naturally because the vendor brings expertise from previous launches and staffing power and capabilities, and our partners and colleagues at Minute bring a great deal of technological expertise as well. It's a complex system. It's a complexity that we know how to manage. It's a complexity that we already deliver with unemployment insurance. This is a modified version of that, but it's certainly something that our team has expertise in. And I'll pitch it over to Director Norfleet, who has done who led pretty much identical work in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts in establishing their paid family and medical leave program. So,
Mr. Norfleet, can you hear us okay?
Yes, I can, Chair. Thank you very much.
If you just speak up and also identify yourself for the record and go ahead and answer the question.
Thank you, Chair. My name is Greg Norfleet. I'm the Director for the Paid Leave Program here in Minnesota. So as Deputy Commissioner Rowe mentioned, the team is combined of paid leave staff, minute staff, and novice staff working together across a implementation of a complex technology solution. The way that this is really working is that NAVA is bringing a engineering capacity early on, but we're also supporting that with minute resources that are going to be able to sustain the system longer term. Within the paid leave division, we've established a product management function, which allows us to bridge the gap between business requirements and technology requirements to make sure that we are able to develop in short cycles and that we develop technology that meets business needs and also is delightful to use from a user's perspective.
Follow-up, Senator Draheim.
Yep, thank you, Chair. And thank you for the response. It was mentioned Massachusetts in the response to the question. And I think the same vendor did the front end in Massachusetts, but they had a different vendor responsible for the back end. So who is responsible for the back end with our proposed system?
Either the testifiers.
Thank you, Chair, and Senator Draheim. So the solution in Massachusetts was a decoupled solution that had multiple vendors where NAVA was responsible for the front end and the integration layer, abstraction layer. Then we had a separate vendor named Fineos that was responsible for the back end solution, and a contact center vendor that supported the CRM. That is a different architecture than we're pursuing today. The way that we pursued the architecture in Massachusetts, we learned from that implementation that having that multiple vendor kind of buildup comes with a number of puts and takes. And the advantage of having a single vendor responsible for both front, middle, and back was part of the successful proposal in the implementation here.
Deputy Commissioner Rowe.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So just to clarify, in case it wasn't clear, NAVA is responsible kind of for front, middle, and back end of the paid leave application for, I think, the very good reasons that Director Norfleet mentioned.
Senator Draheim.
Thank you. Can you explain the roadmap that's been developed?
Deputy Commissioner Rowe. I'm sorry. Deputy Commissioner Rowe.
Certainly. Thank you, Mr. Chair. And Senator Draheim, yes. So essentially, to deliver a program, of the scale of paid leave by January 1, we had, there are kind of a variety of system functionalities and pieces that are kind of all getting built. Some built simultaneously, some sort of in sequence, because some have dependencies on others. Others you can kind of work across. I could show you a very detailed map at some point if you would like, but just kind of speaking conceptually, we're working, right now we're working on kind of a lot of the employer functionality. As we mentioned in the presentation, equivalent plan exemptions, employer administrator portal, things like that. Simultaneously, we are also working through a lot of the applicant experience, payments architecture, and components around integrity, components around workflow. And we actually even already have in code a continuous bonding leave application that we could actually show if we had time today. And we actually demonstrated in the House Workforce Committee. So there's lots of different. So it's it's a complex roadmap, but everything is broken down and is sort of prioritized based on when we need it to be delivered in terms of its kind of rollout and timeline for the overall program. Does that answer your question, Senator?
Senator Draheim.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Deputy Commissioner. Most of my questions are focusing on the technology because we've had a terrible track record here in Minnesota on rolling out software programs, and we've wasted literally hundreds of millions of dollars. So please bear with me, Chair and Deputy Commissioner. So I guess you kind of rattled off a whole bunch of different portions of the software. In like I said, we're in April. So it's supposed to go live in January. So what segments are not completed or not ready?
Deputy Commissioner Rowe.
Mr. Chair and Senator, I mean, I guess what I would say is that we, as far as the roadmap goes, we are exactly where we would be, where we would have expected to be, or, honestly, in many cases, a little bit ahead. I would say, so maybe one way to think about the benefits, kind of the benefits application, it's sort of like a tree. We have a continuous bonding workflow that is really what I'd call the trunk of the tree. We're still building some branches off of the tree, right? So as an example, right, some of the more complex leave types are things that we will be building out in workflow, in application design, kind of over the coming months, just as one example. But I would say that the trunk of the tree is actually already built and functional, again, as we've demonstrated previously in-house workforce. So I think what we're really, in sort of modern application design, you sort of have standards and architectures that you root in place, and then you build off of those. I'd say we have a lot of kind of those core components are, in place and kind of largely building from there. Naturally, there is more work that we will continue to do throughout the rest of the year, but I'd say that we are, well in line with our timelines, and again, in some cases, ahead of where we even hope to be at this point, which we're really happy about.
Senator Draheim.
Thank you. I haven't been involved in beta testing before. With Microsoft and a Fortune 100 company, the beta testing usually lasts longer than the timeline that you have between when you get rulemaking finalized and we start the program. So what is the plan for beta testing? And I mean, you have a lot of different types of employers across the state. From schools and counties to cities, to farmers, to Fortune 100 companies. So what is the plan for the beta test? How long is that going to last, and who's going to be involved?
Deputy Commissioner Rowe.
Mr. Chair and Senator Draheim, so thank you for that question, because this allows me to show off a very wonky slide that shows kind of all the components of software testing that kind of goes into a rollout of a program of this magnitude and scale. I think there is there are tons of types of testing that occur over the software development life cycle for a program of this magnitude. And some of the much testing actually happens while you're developing the application. That's kind of in line with kind of modern best practice in terms of how how these types of programs are and complex systems are developed. So here's a long list. I won't read all of them off. But I think maybe what you're also talking about is something that would be known as user acceptance testing. So folks who kind of working with the end users to kind of validate and verify that the solution that you're delivering actually meets the needs of the customers. And I would say that also is something that we try to build in as continuously as possible, because that is actually the most modern way to do this kind of work. It ensures that you're not developing stuff that isn't needed. And yeah, we're already doing user acceptance testing on a variety of components around the product. And again, that's, I'd say, is kind of in line with development best practices around in this field.
Senator Draheim, and just as a reminder, Deputy Commissioner, your voice tapers off towards the end of your answer, so even if it's going to taper off, if you could be so kind as to try to keep it projected and or move closer to the mic, because that will be helpful. Senator Draheim.
Thank you, Chair, and thanks for your patience. Deputy Commissioner, I really didn't get an answer on, how long is that testing? I know you're doing kind of the in-house testing, and I love all the buzzwords in the testing at a glance. But, to me, you have to get it out to the real world and have them test it. So how long, and what's the plan for, like I said, the schools, the cities, the counties, the small business people and then, of course, the larger employers.
Deputy Commissioner Rowe.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I'll try to remember my mother's advice to sit up straight. Senator Draheim, if my previous answer wasn't clear, I apologize. Well, I guess what I would say is we are already doing that type of testing with a variety of user groups now on that front. It's not something that we kind of wait for the end and all that. It's something that's sort of built into our processes and on our development life cycles right now. For example, on the equivalent plan launch that I mentioned in the presentation, we've already done user feedback testing with businesses already, and that's the process that we're going to kind of continue to develop as we go along. As far as applicant portal, similar thing, right? We are working with kind of groups of representative users to make sure that the solution meets the needs of the users. Healthcare providers on certifications, all those kinds of things. So it's something that we are doing right now, and we were going to continue to do because it's got to be part of the nature of the software development lifecycle. It doesn't stop, is what I guess would be my point.
Senator Draheim.
Thank you, Chair. Deputy Commissioner, in your last two words on that slide say independent auditor. So has this independent auditor been part of this testing, or who is the independent auditor? And when are they involved, or when will they be involved?
Deputy Commissioner Rowe.
Mr. Chair, Senator Draheim, that's part, put the wrong slide. That's part of the, that's kind of part of a requirement around, kind of independent verification. We're in kind of the final processes on contracting that, but we expect to have that on board very soon, and that kind of work. Their work is generally more about kind of software development lifecycle and components there. With that being said, we expect to have them on board very soon, and we'll hopefully be able to validate a lot of the pieces that we've talked about.
Senator Draheim.
So thank you, Chair, and thank you, Deputy Commissioner. So is that person or company been hired that's going to do the independent auditing? If you're this far along, I would assume that would have been addressed already and someone would have been hired.
Deputy Commissioner Rowe.
Mr. Chair, Senator, there's a active procurement underway, and we're kind of in the final stages of completing that, and that's kind of normal for a program of this size.
Senator Draheim.
Thank you, Chair. I just, if you're as far along as you say you are, I thought you would have had that auditor in place already, being months away. And I guess the next thing, I'm almost done, Chair. The program integrity slide, the next one. You have most formal risk assessment completed and most formal fraud risk assembly completed. What specific areas remain unassessed, and what is your timeline to complete them?
Deputy Commissioner Rowe to the question.
Mr. Chair, I might turn that one over to Director Norfleet. I guess maybe just with a couple, prefatory comments, right? Today is April 2nd, and there still are, and I would say, there are still 9 months until the program launches. Naturally, we have a lot of the framework done, but there are components that we're going to continue to work to refine as we get closer to program launch. And similar to testing, these are the kinds of things that we are constantly that we will be constantly checking to validate and update to make sure that we're running the program with the highest levels of integrity. But I'll turn it over to Director Norfleet for maybe more specifics on that front.
Director Norfleet.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Senator Draheim. So we have assembled an internal controls division that is completing formal risk assessments across the organization, both from a leadership perspective as well as in each one of the functional areas of the teams. We have identified risks across the organization from implementation, from using the Green Book standards for what you would look for in a fraud or for an internal controls plan. We're setting those controls in place. That is a living document that will continue to evolve throughout as we learn more about the environment we're operating in.
Senator Draheim.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for the response. The Green Book standard, does that give you percentages of fraud that you can live with? I know we got a update on UI a few weeks ago, and I was told that the $17 million in fraud was within the guidelines of what to be expected. Is there an expectation in this program of a percentage of fraud in the Green Book standard?
Who's going to answer that? Deputy Commissioner Rowe.
Mr. Chair, Senator Draheim, the Green Book is more of a kind of a set of governmental accounting standards you might be familiar with. I don't, to my knowledge, there's not a particular number that's assigned. It's more of a procedural and policy document that an entity, like the paid leave program would use to build and refine a set of internal controls for adequacy. As far as the question around numbers, I'm sure there are industry benchmarks. I don't have those at hand, but something that we could certainly follow up on.
Senator Draheim.
Thank you. I just got a couple more questions, then I'll be done. I'm sorry. Senator Gustafson really wants to answer some questions or ask some questions. So what percentage of claims do you think will have a human touch, and what percent do you think will be automated?
Deputy Commissioner Rowe.
Mr. Chair and Senator Draheim, I might pitch that one over to Director Norfleet. What I'll say though is I think just at kind of again at sort of a conceptual level. We're going to be thoughtful about any, automation has, there are pros and cons to automation, right? Automation can increase speed, and in some cases it can increase integrity. It also does, there can also, you need to have a very good handle on kind of the components behind it. I think there's kind of always that tension there. I would imagine that our kind of the exact balance of that will probably evolve over time as the program kind of is launched and as we have more data as we go along. But I'll turn it over to Director Norfleet to maybe provide a little bit more detail about some of those pieces.
Senator Draheim.
Sorry.
Director Norfleet.
Thank you, Chair. Senator Draheim. To echo Deputy Commissioner, out of the gate, we'll have far more manual processing than what we may have down the road. We would want to use automation strategically, and when we're sure that that is it fits with the program integrity strategy of the division. The automation will differ based off of the specific characteristics of a claim. So some cases are less likely to be associated or might not have as many fraud indicators associated with them that would make decent candidates for automation. But out of the gate, we would anticipate having a fairly high touch on the claims coming through the door.
And if I just might,
Deputy Commissioner Rowe.
and if I might just add just one point. I think our philosophy on that, Mr. Chair, Senator Draheim, is that you may have automation, but you can't turn off your brain, and it's the responsibility of the program to make sure that the components are all working together to kind of meet the overall strategic objectives of the program. So any automation would be in service of speed, but we ultimately we still would be managing those components carefully and as part of an overall strategic perspective.
Any follow-up, Senator Draheim?
No, I appreciate the feedback, and I'll hold off on the rest of my questions. Thank you.
Senator Nelson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Deputy Commissioner Rowe, thank you for being here answering some questions. I'm just going to kind of make a statement and then ask my two questions that kind of flow out from that question a little bit, kind of two areas. When this was passed, I was pretty adamant that actually we needed to be a state that would put this out for statewide contract for bid, as some states have, as opposed to actually what we're doing, which it sounds like, we're developing this program ourselves in-house. And while I have a lot of confidence, indeed, I do want to just note two questions because of the type of system that we have now. as opposed to what maybe I thought would have been a better proposal. And one of the things I noticed in looking at the data from these different types of ways that states implemented a paid family leave program, it was a pretty stark difference between those government state-run programs and those state programs that contracted out on a state contract with a company to provide that service. So the thing that caught my eye the most was that the call time, the wait for customers to get their questions answered was much longer in those state-run government insurance, paid family medical leave situations like ours, as opposed to those states that actually put that service out for contract for bid on a statewide contract with a different vendor. So I'm concerned about the consumer, the worker, the family's experience, and I would like you to address that a little bit, and also to just kind of guide you where the things I want to hear about also is how are we going to keep track of that? And I'd like to see a report, much as I'd seen from other states at that. So if you can speak a little bit to the customer service side of what we have going on here.
Excuse me, Deputy Commissioner Rowe, you got the questions? All right.
Yes, I do. Thank you, Mr. Chair. And Senator Nelson, thank you for asking that question, because, it is a driving motivation, and the reason we are here is to deliver a great customer experience for Minnesotans. Without knowing the exact data that you've seen regarding some of the customer service components of programs in various states, there aren't very many I think, to my knowledge, really the only state that has a state program where there's a sort of a state required benefit that is privately contracted is the state of Connecticut, which is one example. Many of the others that have state plans generally don't have like a required component, so naturally the population is much smaller. Leaving all that aside, for us, I think we are built. Minnesota, indeed, as you know, also leads the unemployment insurance division, and typical wait times for UI callers are within a minute or two, right? And that's the kind of standard that we want to have here for the paid leave program. That's kind of how we are working to establish our call center. It's how we're working to, it's how we're working to kind of build our business processes. Minnesotans have high standards, and we want them to have high standards, and we want to meet those standards. And when we expect to. And what I'll just say as a starting point is, for our contact center right now, we're not taking calls, but we're doing email. It's primarily kind of electronic communication at this early stage, and we're answering 95% of questions within two business days, right? So we're already working really hard and some of these are pretty thorny, tricky, technical questions where we're really trying to provide answers quickly. So we're, obviously as we build out more staff capacity and we have a contact center, we expect that people are going to be able to get questions answered very quickly and at a high standard of accuracy. And again, that's we want Minnesotans to be able to rely on this program when they are facing a personal health challenge, a family care challenge, and that's what we're going to do.
And just a gentle reminder that we remember that we have several other bills to go through today. I just want to make sure you all have enough time, but I'm just letting you know, okay? Or reminding you. Senator Nelson.
Yes, thank you. And so with that, I would expect then that we will get reports on, we should get monthly reports about that customer service. How long did somebody have to wait? What was their experience? And that, I hope, is built in. Because of the compressed time, I'll move right to my second big question, which has to do with the vendors and the technology itself. And again, I preface this with the history, really, the sordid history we have in the state of Minnesota with technology. We can think about MNLARS. We can think about METs. Our counties are still struggling with that. Olmsted County has to pay $8 million a year just to get someone one to run the program that doesn't run, this is a different department, Health and Human Services. But the point is, we have old technology. We're not good at keeping it upgraded. Technology is like moving like at the speed of light practically, and yet we are stuck in a rut because, well, these big, massive statewide systems take a lot of money to upgrade, and we're very slow to the game to upgrade. So I'd like to preface my statement with kind of that, and so what I want to know is about our vendors. And did you mention Epic? Is Epic one of our vendors? I don't know. Can you mention vendors, what vendors we have, and most importantly, if we had a contract, and maybe we do with our technology pieces of this, that every so many years, this goes out for statewide bid for a vendor. Because I can tell you something, those people who would be bidding on getting a statewide contract from Minnesota, I can guarantee you their technology would be up to snuff. It would be new, and so I'm worried about getting saddled with old technology. I'm wondering if you can kind of elaborate on the vendor aspect and the renewal of those contracts.
Deputy Commissioner Rowe.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and again, thank you, Senator Nelson. I think it's ensuring that we've got a really strong technology stack to support this program or any program of this caliber is absolutely essential. And I guess so the prime vendor that we have here is again, as I mentioned, a firm called Nava PBC. They have done and this is a contract that was competitively procured. So to your point, we test the market. We make sure that we are getting the very best of what the market has to offer and that we're getting it at a competitive price. Part of the reason that we selected Nava was because they have kind of a variety of, largely ready-built accelerator frameworks and components that allowed us to make faster progress, and stuff that's already sort of been pressure tested, has been used in the field, has been used for other clients, and it works. As well as having a really strong kind of development and engineering team that will help deliver products that, then, down the line, once we have the solution in place, either can be supported by state staff, or we can seek, additional contracted support to provide support and upgrades down the line. I think just maybe, and you could probably get me going for like 15 minutes on the philosophy of technology and delivery of good digital public services, but I know that I'm guessing the chair would not appreciate that. But I think what's really important is knowing the business problem you're trying to solve, knowing that you need to be making constant investments to keep your technology up to date and that it's closely tied to the business processes that you need and constantly working to improve your business processes and never letting things sort of fall into a state of decay, because then you're playing catch up and you're going to have a much harder time. That's why we're building as one team. It's not the paid leave team throwing stuff over the fence to the vendor. It's working collectively and solving problems together. And again, not to turn back to the unemployment insurance program for everything, but that is an example of another program where we have continued to make investments in that technology. And as a result, even in the face of the pandemic, when we saw 10x increases in the volume of claims that the program was facing, the program was able to stay on top of that volume and manage through it and be there for Minnesotans when they needed it. So I really appreciate the question, because it's exactly how you're asking the way in which we needed to make sure that these services are there for Minnesotans.
Just follow up, Mr. Chair, then I'll be finished. Follow-up comment, please.
Senator Nelson.
Thank you so much. And so I really appreciate your comment about the necessity to not let our technology, our equipment get old. I think you used the word decay. Obviously, we cannot afford to do that, and that truly is one of my biggest concerns, and it is because we can see what's happened. We can see what happened within the transportation department with MNLARS. We can see what's happened in Health and Human Services with the METS program. So I think we just have to be on guard and make sure that we do not allow that to happen with something as important as this. And so staying on top of that technology as it evolves, I think will be incredibly helpful. So thank you, Deputy Commissioner.
All right, Senator Housley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Deputy Commissioner. I know you said in your testimony that, you know, you still have 9 months to get this program up and running, but it's a huge, huge program, and at the speed of government time, this is not a lot of time to get all of this done. And especially when this is our last, we're almost to the end of session, and this goes live January 1st, so this is pretty much our only time to be getting the update before it goes live. So, and Mr. Chair, I'm kind of sad that we have all of these bills after this, because when we had our huddle before with our caucus, we have like 3 pages of questions that we would really like to ask about this paid family medical leave program, but we're being rushed, Mr. Chair. So I will keep them to as few as I can, but I wanted to go off of what Senator Nelson was saying, just some of the questions that I had jotted down. That I was thinking in my head. If this goes live on January 1st, 2026, which is New Year's Day, will your call center employees be up and running and someone will be working that day even though it's a holiday? These are just the questions that I've just been writing down.
Deputy Commissioner Rowe.
Mr. Chair and Senator Housley, actually maybe I'll pitch that over to Director Norfleet, since he's kind of working in more detail on the call center implementations.
Director Norfleet.
Thank you, Chair. We will be observing the state holidays, so we would likely not have state employees available on January 1st, but the application would be live and the folks would be able to apply.
Senator Housley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I'm just going to go on record saying every single one of us at this table is going to get a lot of phone calls on January 1st when there's nobody answering the phone and these employers don't really know which direction they're supposed to be going or what they're supposed to do. Deputy Commissioner, one of the slides, it says that paid leave division is hiring. I'm wondering, you anticipated needing 407 FTEs. Where are you at in that? How many have you hired so far, and how many do you still need?
Deputy Commissioner Rowe.
Again, Mr. Chair, Senator Housley, I'll pitch this. I think Director Norfleet will actually have the exact number. What I'll note, though, before he kind of goes into the details, is the bulk of the hires will be around kind of claims adjudicators and a lot of contact center staff. So a lot of it is sort of backloaded. You know, we wouldn't we wouldn't necessarily want to have a bunch of folks on state payroll when there aren't calls really to take right now. So we are trying to be responsible stewards of state funding here. But Director Norfleet, I think, would have the most up-to-date numbers on hiring, so I'll pitch it over to him.
Director Norfleet.
Yes, Chair. We currently have 83 full-time employees employed with the division it's going to take me a while to count them all. We have somewhere around 20 positions posted. We're averaging about 53 days to hire for each one. Which,
if I may, Mr. Chair, is, I'd say, a very good. It's, I think you made a reference, Senator Housley, to moving at the speed of government. We believe the public sector is capable of doing a lot of good, and we're also trying to push the pace.
Mr. Chair,
Senator Housley.
Deputy Commissioner or Director, is there an anticipated timeline, and are you meeting that? Like, where are you in the whole 407? Are you behind, or?
Director Norfleet.
Thank you, Chair and Senator Housley. We do have a hiring plan, and we are currently tracking green on the hiring plan.
Tracking green.
Senator Housley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So what happens if you're not able to hire all of the employees by January 1st?
Director Norfleet.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Senator Housley. The majority of the positions are in individual contributor roles in the claims adjudication space and the contact center space. With the contact center space, we're evaluating a number of options regarding part-time workers, non-traditional schedules, in order to be able to increase the number of folks that are available to fill those positions at that time. Right now, though, we are, for each position that we post, we have gotten great responses for each and every one, so we have no reason to believe that we wouldn't be able to meet that goal.
Senator Housley?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just one more. I'm switching directions a little bit. Deputy Commissioner, is it accurate to say that an individual can't receive unemployment insurance benefits at the same time as taking paid family medical leave benefits?
Director Norfleet?
Mr. Chair, if that is, Mr. Chair, Senator Housley, that is correct. That is in the statute.
So what?
Senator Housley?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm trying to hurry, you see. What steps, Deputy Commissioner, will be taken to prevent an individual from receiving both sets of payments? How will you prevent that or track that or report that?
Deputy Commissioner Rowe?
Mr. Chair, Senator Housley, so that's where kind of having unemployment insurance division kind of housed within the same agency as DEED, I think really that kind of collaboration comes to bear. We'll have a variety of data interchanges that will be used for program integrity. Again, we've already deployed some of these data integrations to permit the collection of wage detail on one unified wage detail return for businesses. There will be other similar types of integrations to ensure that folks are only collecting the benefits that they are entitled to under the law.
Senator Housley?
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chair. Just one last follow-up. Deputy Commissioner, so will DEED commit to coming back to this committee and giving us a report on if there's any duplicate payments and on a regular basis? Could you come back?
Deputy Commissioner Rowe?
Mr. Chair, Senator Housley, we would be delighted to. And I imagine in the 2026 legislative session, there may be a few questions on this program. We will be very happy to share the progress that we're making and all of that. And I'll also note that there are, under the paid leave law, there are a variety of other required reports that we will produce to the legislature.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Deputy Commissioner. We will be seeing you then.
All right.
Thank you.
Senator Pratt?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a couple of things that struck me as we were going through this, and I will be brief, but I think this shows the magnitude of this entire program and the concerns that we've had, having lived through just in my time here in the legislature, living through the rollout of MNsure and the problems that were along with that, the debacle with MNLARS that, Mr. Chair, when you and I first joined the Senate in 2013, we took a tour and told that program was going to be up and running in 2014. It didn't come up until late 2016. And then it took us until 2020 to finally get MnDrive and decide that we were going to scrap the whole thing. I also have a little bit of a different recollection with how the pandemic and the system handled the stress. And Mr. Chair, I believe you and I were in frequent conversation about how the UI system was unable to handle many of the claims that were being made, and we saw a huge spike in those claims that required manual intervention. In fact, to the point where we were talking with a previous commissioner about how many weeks out it was taking to process those claims. So I don't have as much, I don't have as fond a recollection of how well the system was able to perform and flex to meet those problems, Mr. Rowe. But you mentioned NAVA. And my question on NAVA is, I understand that Massachusetts used NAVA as a front end, but they hired somebody else to be the brains or the processing system behind the scenes. Is NAVA building the workflow as well as the front end system in this case, or do you have another vendor that's building the workflow portion?
Deputy Commissioner Rowe, I know you answered this earlier.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chair, then I'll withdraw the question and I'll find out.
No, because we think it's good for there to be clarification. So, because Senator Draheim was asking that question. Deputy Commissioner Rowe.
Mr. Chair, Senator Pratt. So NAVA has responsibility for kind of the whole end-to-end components of the overall application flow. They will, however, we will be leveraging, kind of known technologies like Salesforce as part in some components of those adjudication flows. So, different components may have different kind of architectures, trying to choose the solution that is best suited to the nature of the specific problem.
Follow-up?
Well, thank you,
Senator
Mr. Chair. My other questions were on testing. So what stage of testing are we in right now?
Deputy Commissioner Rowe, I know you can go back to that page again because Senator
Well,
Draheim asked the
and Mr.
question.
Chair, I appreciate the unit testing. That's exactly what I'm looking at. Regression testing is going to be extremely important if we're dealing with multiple systems. So what stage are we in right now?
Deputy Commissioner Rowe.
Mr. Chair and Senator Pratt, I think when we were responding to Senator Draheim's question, I think the point is, these are happening all simultaneously as a part of everyday development, right? I think software development best practice is, it's not a serial process. These things are happening in parallel and as a part of the daily development activities that any developer is doing, right? So this is part of what is happening right now every single day across the program. Now there are, and as I mentioned to Senator Draheim, there is even up to user acceptance testing for the components of the solution that we are in the process of delivering. So it's no longer the case, and it used to be the case in software development that a bunch of coders would do a bunch of coding and then they'd kick it over to QA QC for validation and testing, and then if it didn't work then you'd have to go back to the coders. That's not kind of the modern approach. This is something that's integrated into the development practices of all the development teams that are working on this project.
And it's my understanding, Senator Pratt, that the only thing that they have not, and correct me if I'm wrong, hired for is the independent auditor, because that's something that they are in the process of hiring. And so in the event that was going to be a part of your questioning. Senator Pratt.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I've done a lot of system and software development projects in my career. Fortunately, all of them went successfully, and there is I would say there is some sort of seriality, to make up a word, in testing. You have to be able to pass unit testing. You have to make sure that the individual nodes and logic are working correctly before you put it to regression testing or before you release it to the users. And so to that, who is who is doing your UAT testing?
Deputy Commissioner, is that a question that you can field, or should we go to Director Norfleet?
Maybe I'll pass it over to Director Norfleet. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Director Norfleet.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Senator Pratt. User acceptance testing is being performed both internal by our staff as well as externally. We've done a number of user acceptability testing sessions. We're actually actively recruiting for user acceptance testers for our employee experience today. But we have completed some UAT testing with large businesses on equivalent plans and leave administrators. We're going to continue to do that with external parties we're trying to recruit from a variety of different businesses and different perspectives to ensure that the tool works for a variety of different audiences.
Senator Pratt.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And Mr. Chair, in your role as president, you know that we adjourn on May 19th. We're hoping there's not a special session. What is the go, no-go date on this, given that the legislature is likely to be out of session? When are you going to make a go, no-go decision?
Deputy Commissioner Rowe.
Mr. Chair, Senator Pratt, I mean, I think for a program of this magnitude, Minute has sort of has an established go, no-go kind of launch set of launch criteria. I'd expect that we will follow those procedures as we approach launch.
Senator Pratt.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, as the project manager, I would presume that Mr. Rowe should have that on his Gantt chart that he's tracking for his various milestones, and I hope he'll get back to me very, very soon with that. Because this does have implications. We do have statutory requirements that we have to hit. And my fear is that we're going to have a go, no-go decision when the legislature's not here, and we're going to have an administrative decision to delay this that violates law. And so that's one of my questions. My last question is, you talked about the manual review rate. What is, and we talked about the fact that we did see a spike in UI manual reviews during the first few months of Governor Walz's shutdown and stay-at-home orders. What is an acceptable manual review rate, and what are you going to do if you start to exceed that?
Deputy Commissioner Rowe to the question.
Mr. Chair, Senator Pratt, again, I might pass this one over to Director Norfleet. I would say, though, that there is no one standard across states. I think different states have rolled out different levels of manual adjudication in successfully implementing programs like this. I know, to my knowledge, there are states that have launched within the last year that heavily make use of automation. There are states that have successfully launched that are mostly that mostly involve manual adjudication. So I don't think there's necessarily a bright line standard inherently. The question is really, how do you define your business process? How do you design your business process and the enabling technology so that you are able to successfully adjudicate claims within the amount of time that is required by statute and to meet your business objectives. But I might pass it over, Mr. Chair, to Director Norfleet in case there's anything that he'd care to elaborate on there.
Director Norfleet.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Senator Pratt. I would, again, just echo the Deputy Commissioner that there isn't a set percentage of claims that we would target being manual out of the gate or having that exceeded. We do anticipate starting off with a close eye towards understanding the claims that are coming in the door, looking for patterns, looking for areas where we feel secure to start executing on increasing automation strategically. But we anticipate being staffed appropriately so that we can handle the amount of claims that come through the door using the business processes that define.
Thank you. So any final comments, Senator Pratt, before we go to Senate File number 2570?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll take that hint very cordially. And let me just say, Mr. Chair, I don't care what other states are doing. I don't care what other states' review rates are. I care about what we as a state have set for our own expectations. When I've done these projects in the past, I've known what my target is, what an acceptable rate of manual review, and how many I want automatically decisioned. When we didn't meet those, we had a process for evaluating why we were above or below our threshold. But we always had a threshold, Mr. Rowe, and we started out with a threshold at the point in time of development. I could care less if another state is looking at 3% or 30%. I want to know what our target is, because as Senator Housley talked about the staffing, your staffing and your capacity is what's going to drive the customer experience in being able to manage those manual reviews. And if you don't have that set now, I am extremely worried. And we don't have a no-go date on this. I am extremely worried that we are going to be following the MNLAR's path on this thing rather than a successful launch. These are very basic questions that I've had to answer in the corporate world to the highest levels before we made these investments and along the way. I don't want to see a 2-year delay like we saw with MNLAR's. I don't want to see the delays that we've seen in other projects. And if this is going to have a problem while the legislature's not in session, then I want to know if the governor's planning to call us back to make changes or what. These are all the things we need to be thinking about. We're not worried about what happens if the glass is half full. We're worried about if the glass tips over. And these are questions and answers that I would have expected that would be available today. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. With that being said, Deputy Commissioner Rowe, I'm certain that you've heard all the comments, and should anyone want to meet with you individually or want to request some additional information, that you will oblige. Is that correct to say?
Mr. Chair, very happily.
Thank you so much. With that being said, now, members, thank you so much. And just remember that we will continue to be as attentive as possible. I'm now going to Senate File number 2570, and thank you, Deputy Commissioner, as well as Director Norfleet. I'm now going to 2570. And if Senator Hauschild, if your testifier, Mr. Greg Lerud, would also join you. Thank you so much for your patience, and then we're going to move expeditiously. Thank you again. And is there anything, Ms. Noner, so we can give the financial picture?
Mr. Chair and committee members, Senate File 2570 is proposing $10 million from the general fund in fiscal year 2026 for the Community Energy Transition Grant Program. And in the past, the jobs budget has appropriated $10 million in fiscal year 24-25 and one-time funds from the general fund.
One time. Thank you so much. With that being stated, Senator Hauschild, give us an overview and then introduce your testifier, and we'll go from there. Welcome to the committee.
Mr. Chair, members, thank you so much. I'm happy to present Senate File 2570, which would appropriate $10 million to DADS Community Energy Transition Grant Program. As our state transitions away from the use of fossil fuels to power generation, we are on pace to retire all of Minnesota's coal generation by 2035. This will have widespread benefits, but has also a direct impact on local governments and workers whose economic vitality has been tied to those plants. For the cities and counties impacted by plant retirements, the plant is typically the largest property taxpayer and the largest employer in the community. This program has been a vital tool for those areas by providing grants for both planning and project delivery to advance locally led development projects. This program's impact includes areas in my district, such as Cook County with the retirement of Minnesota Power's Taconite Harbor facility, and Itasca County with the phased retirement of coal generation at the Boswell plant. I also want to note the bipartisan support for this program that it has enjoyed over the years. In addition to the bill in front of you, Senator Matthews and Senator Housley also have a bill that would inject additional funds into this program. Thank you to those senators for their support and leadership over the years. With me today to testify in support of this bill is Greg Lerud, who serves as the City Administrator for the City of Becker.
Welcome to the committee, and we would love to hear your 2 minutes of testimony.
Thank you.
Identify yourself for the record, okay?
Yep, Mr. Chairman, committee members, my name is Greg Lerud. I'm the Becker City Administrator, and I appreciate the opportunity today to speak in support of Senate File 2570. Today I'm speaking on behalf of the Coalition of Utility Cities, which represents 7 Minnesota communities that host power generating plants. Retirement of the coal facilities, as you just heard, has already begun, and they will all be retired by the end of 2035. These power plants are the backbone of the tax base in each of these communities, and in Becker's case, the Sherco plant represents about 65% of the city's total tax base. The city has been working to replace that lost tax base and have appreciated the Community Energy Transmission Grant Program to help address the significant negative impacts these communities already have or are going to have due to the closures that are entirely out of the city's control. Over the past 2 years, $10 million was allocated to this program, which provided grants to 11 cities and counties to help with planning and construction efforts that support each local community's most pressing need in addressing the closure of the plants. In Becker's situation, the grant was used to leverage an additional $3 million of non-state money to fund public infrastructure planning that will improve the west entrance of the city's industrial park and be critical to the businesses that develop on the sites. This is just one example of the value of the grant program, and I would expect the other coalition member cities would echo the importance of this program as well. To these communities who are experiencing a very unique impact, the CET grant is a critical program for these cities to help address lost jobs and lost tax base due to the power plant closure. The coalition thanks Senator Hauschild for authoring Senate File 2750 and urges committee approval.
Thank you so very much, and welcome again. Welcome to the committee. Any questions for the testifier or for Senator Putnam before we lay this bill on the table for possible inclusion? Senator Nelson, briefly.
Yes, just a brief question. Like typically, there's always like not enough money to solve everybody's needs. And I'm just curious, how do you determine how these funds would be allocated to the different, if there's 7 communities left, how do you anticipate how those funds would be dispersed?
Mr. Lerud.
Fairly.
The DEED has a Chairman and Senator, the DEED has an application program that they have, so all the cities apply, so they determine that there's points and everything, so they determine that it does meet the program requirements.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Any other questions for Senator Hauschild or Mr. Lerud? Seeing none, final comments before we lay this bill on the table for possible inclusion. Senator Hauschild.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would just say that I'm very thankful that this committee took the initiative to fund this program in the past. Like I said, it had major impacts on communities of mine in Cook County and Itasca County, and I'm seeing the list here of all the different impacts that it's had, and I think it would be really great if we were able to continue to provide these transition grants as we continue to move forward with our climate goals. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you so much. And members, just so you know, there are a number of support letters in your packet that you can also review. With that being stated, Senate file number 2570 will be laid on the table for possible inclusion. Thank you. We're going now to Senate file number 2948, Senator Putnam. And if you'll bring your two testifiers up with you, Dr. Hooyo Ibrahim and Rachel Anderson. And before we go forward, we will turn to Ms. Noner, who will give us a financial picture before the overview from Senator Putnam.
Mr. Chair and committee members, Senate File 2948 is proposing $600,000 in fiscal year 2026 from the Workforce Development Fund for OneCommunity Alliance. And to my knowledge, OneCommunity Alliance has not received recent jobs funding.
Thank you so very much. Senator Putnam for an overview of the bill before we go to your testifiers.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, for hearing this bill and for the opportunity to talk about my community. Mr. Chair, under your leadership and leadership of this committee, we have in the past invested in workforce development in my community. We have lots of people and lots of jobs, but the connection between those two things is something where we needed some help. One of the things we've noticed over the past couple of years is that it's not just the employees who need help, it's some of the employers too. Employers need a little bit of help becoming able to accommodate the workforce that is available to them, and that's what Dr. Ibrahim is interested in doing. Working at the intersection between the employee and the employer to make sure that these new businesses, business opportunities and workforce opportunities are amenable to the population we have to work in them. Dr. Ibrahim has a long history of doing this work very successfully, and it's something that's desperately needed in our community. Mr. Chair, this resource would go towards facilitating that work, that intersection between the employer and the employee for tomorrow's workforce. And so, Mr. Chair, if I could, I'd like to turn it over to my friend, Dr. Ibrahim. But before I do, can I brag about her for a moment?
Briefly, just because we have a full schedule and we know that she's phenomenal because she's sitting there already.
First ever Somali City Council person in the history of St. Cloud. A trailblazer in a number of different ways. With that, Mr. Chair, I'd like to turn it over to my testifiers.
Welcome, Doctor. We are so pleased to have you. So if you identify yourself for the record and give us your 2 minutes of testimony, that'd be great.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and the members for giving us this opportunity to come and present the work that we do at OneCommunity Alliance. And I want to thank my Senator Putnam for giving us this opportunity to come here and to meet you all. I am Hooyo Ibrahim, Dr. Hooyo Ibrahim, the co-founder of OneCommunity Alliance, and more than 27,000 immigrants, including myself, now lived in central Minnesota. We all share the same needs: help successfully securing employment. And I just want to add, since I'm a researcher, that back in 2010, the diversity in St. Cloud was 7%. Today, that number surpassed 30.4%. And so my community is growing significantly. And there is a need for workforce housing and education and also employment. So OneCommunity Alliance, which is based in St. Cloud, has been working to help the community's people of color population successfully find work within the manufacturing companies, food production, agriculture, and healthcare sectors. We do this through workforce training, career readiness training, and by providing job placement assistance to people who are unemployed and underemployed. For the past 15 years, we have been leading this effort. And just 5 years ago, we started Building Equity Through Action, a coalition of key leaders across central Minnesota. And our Economy and Employment Action Committee recently completed a work on belonging toolkit, a belonging toolkit, diversity, equity, and inclusion toolkit that's designed to provide local employers with the best practices for successfully integrating foreign-born employees into the workplace. The toolkit came about as a result of a survey conducted in 2021 involving 19 local employers who told us they needed help equipping supervisors, managers, and HR professionals with the necessary skills to effectively retain and maintain our homegrown talent. Now that the toolkit is complete, our goal is to distribute it to the local employers and provide training on how to effectively implement it.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you very much.
Oh, you were about to finish. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I really do
All right.
appreciate that.
I thought my time was up. So Community Alliance is well equipped to get the job done. We have a lot of supporters, foundations, private and nonprofit organizations. So we would appreciate the support.
Thank you so very much. And now we're going to Rachel Anderson, who's the Director of Communications, for your 2 minutes of testimony. Welcome to the committee, and identify yourself for the record.
Yes, Mr. Chair and members of the committee, thank you for the opportunity to speak. I am Rachel Anderson, and as you mentioned, I am the OneCommunity Alliance Communications Director. Our nonprofit organization is committed to transforming workplace culture within manufacturing companies and others, particularly in central Minnesota, by supporting businesses that employ individuals from diverse racial and ethnic backgrounds. With this allocated funding, we're proposing the implementation of 2 key programs. One is our Leadership Inclusive Culture Training Program. This will provide leadership training that emphasizes the recognition of unconscious bias and the promotion of an inclusive workplace culture. It aims to equip managers, supervisors, HR professionals, and employees with the skills necessary to identify and address biases, thereby fostering a more equitable work environment. Program number 2 is a workplace integration and professional development initiative. This will facilitate employees' understandings of American work ethics and etiquette, educate immigrants and refugees on workplace safety, and offer on-the-job training. Employees we serve will receive support in maintaining their health and well-being, developing conflict management skills, and acquiring leadership competencies necessary for career development. Additionally, this funding will bolster initiatives aimed at establishing a culturally inclusive work environment and helping businesses address systemic barriers, eliminate disparities, create opportunities for professional development, and emerge as a model employers will value, uplift, and retain for having a diverse workforce. And we're not doing this work alone. Wanted to point out that we have the support of Granite Partners, the McKnight Foundation, Morgan Family Foundation, Propel, Greater St. Cloud Development Corporation, and the Central Minnesota Community Foundation, along with a number of local businesses. These include Microbiologics, University of Minnesota Extensions, Central Minnesota Mental Health Center, ARC Minnesota, College of St. Benedict and St. John's University, and St. Cloud University.
Thank you so very much. We appreciate that, and thank you for being here. Any questions for Senator Putnam or his testifier? Senator Pratt.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And just a couple of quick questions. Have you been working with your Regional Workforce Development Board and maybe talk about that relationship if you have?
To the testifier, who wants to answer that question?
Mr. Chair and Senator Pratt, can you repeat the question about the entity that you mentioned?
Senator Pratt.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was just wondering, there seems to be some overlap a little bit with the role of the Workforce Development Board, and I'm just wondering, I know they partner with a lot of organizations. Have you been working with your Regional Workforce Development Board, and how?
Dr. Ibrahim.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Senator Pratt. We have a coalition of key leaders, and I know the IWE organization was also a part of our Building Equity Through Action Coalition group. We haven't specifically partnered with them and reached out to them, but we have other key leaders that are part of this big umbrella.
Any additional questions? Senator Pratt.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just had one other question, because there's also some similarities to a pilot that we worked on in this committee for Scott County on a kind of a private-public partnership in redevelopment in key industries. And one of the things that we had talked about specifically with that pilot program was the underemployment, which caught my eye in this bill. I'm just kind of curious, are your businesses contributing to this effort as well? And if so, how?
Dr. Ibrahim.
Mr. Chair and Senator Pratt, yes, we have Granite Equity Partners, or Granite Partners also invested in this, and other local businesses. We have a large immigrant, refugees and immigrant community in central Minnesota, and particularly in St. Cloud. And although we have several young people coming up from the local colleges and universities. Majority of them are not prepared and equipped the right skills. And so what this will do is to equip the young people with the necessary skills that they required, and also work with those who might not otherwise have the right skills. And we're specifically focused on those manufacturing companies that are really struggling to maintain and retain their homegrown talent. Most of those folks are struggling with not understanding the American work ethics. I came to St. Cloud 19 years ago, but I was so privileged to go to school and get the right skills that I need. And so we are from St. Cloud. We have the right skills. We have the right partners. We have partners who invested not only volunteering for our organization, but also invested in supporting financially. And so this work is really needed, specifically bridging the gap between those newcomers as well as our established organizations.
Any follow-up questions, Senator Pratt? Any other questions? Seeing none, closing comments brief there, Professor, so that we can move to the next bill.
Just very quickly, thank you, Mr. Chair. To Senator Pratt's excellent questions about partnerships, I neglected to mention that the Initiative Foundation is willing to act as a fiscal agent for this project because Dr. Ibrahim has a long-term relationship with the Initiative Foundation. And I also want to say, similar to Dr. Ibrahim's point, is that it's one thing to get people to work somewhere, it's another thing to be able to keep them there and to keep them working, and that's what this work is supposed to do. And thank you very much for your time and for your excellent questions, Senator Pratt.
Thank you so much. With that, Senate File number 2948 will be laid on the table for possible inclusion. Now we go to Senate File number 2949. Senator Pratt, Senator Putnam is the author. We'll start with our fiscal picture, and then we'll go to the other testifiers. And if the other testifiers can come to the table, that would be great.
Mr. Chair and committee members, Senate File 2949 is proposing $450,000 in fiscal year 26 and $450,000 in fiscal year 27 from the Workforce Development Fund for Ambassadors of Culture, Hooyo Hour, and United Way of Central Minnesota. And to my knowledge, these three organizations have not received direct funding from the Jobs Committee, although United Way of Greater Twin Cities has received. But since this is a separate part of United Way, I didn't include that.
Thank you so very much, Senator Putnam. If you would give us a brief overview and then introduce your testifiers, that would be great.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. This is another incredibly important project because one of the other concerns that we have in our communities is the relationship between young folks and old folks. Everybody needs a mentor. And we see that especially acute in certain populations in certain areas. And one of the really cool, innovative things about this project is it brings together one group that has a great connection to the youth in our community, another group that's been working with mothers for a very long time. And the goal is to have the mothers and the young folks sitting together in the same room talking about getting better jobs, about participating in the economy, about being ambitious. Intergenerational issues abound. And this is an innovative and smart way of keeping those connections alive and moving them to help move people towards greater workforce opportunities. That's a very brief overall discussion, sort of impression of the project. And our testifiers today in the two groups that we're working with, in addition to United Way or Hooyo Hour, which is represented by my friend Hawj, who's back here, who's been working with mothers for a very long time, and my friend Dalmar, who's not here because he's in Nairobi right now, but his wife is here. And again, if you'll let me to brag on my friend for just 1 second very briefly, Dalmar is a very world-famous musician, and he lives in St. Cloud. Just a couple weeks ago, he was singing for the president of Djibouti. He has incredible reach with young people in our community, and we're trying to find a way to use his capacity in music and pop culture and his relationships that he's got built with Hodon's relationships with mothers, bring them together to get young people looking for jobs. That's the goal behind this project, Mr. Chair.
Sounds good. Thank you so much. And you want to the testifier, if you introduce yourself for the record and give us your 2 minutes of testimony, that'd be great.
Mr. Chair, members of the committee, my name is Huda Dawood. I'm also the Executive Director of Ambassador of Culture. Thank you for the opportunity to present this proposal. We are excited to introduce partnership between Hooyo Hour, Ambassador of Culture, and United Way of Central Minnesota. Designed to integrate cultural identity into job readiness program, this collaboration directly addresses the unique needs of immigrant mothers and youth, ensuring that their voices and experiences are not just heard, but also integrated into the fabric of our community workforce. Hooyo Hour is a community-based organization dedicated to empower immigrant families by providing education, job readiness support, resources, and enhance their economic independence and career growth. Ambassador of Culture is an organization focuses on youth workforce development, fostering leadership, cultural awareness, and career readiness through mentorship, training, and community engagement. At the heart of this initiative, a comprehensive approach that bridges together job training, job coaching, and employment engagements and career counseling, all tailored to a specific cultural and generational context of all partners, all participants. We will host joint events that will create a platform where younger generations can connect with the older generation, fostering mutual understanding and bridging generational gap. By engaging local employers, community leaders, we will create a robust support network to help participants build relationships, share resources, and find opportunities. What set this program apart is the focus of intergenerational collaboration, the mentorship and shared experience between immigrant mothers, youth, and professionals. We will not only create a pathway to employment, but we will also increase diversity in this business sector, cultivating more inclusive and culturally aware workforce. With your support, we will be able to create lasting change and foster a stronger and more inclusive community for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. And I noticed, Senator Putnam, that there's a Stephanie Rothstein. Is that person still with us?
Mr. Chair, she should be online, I believe.
I am.
All right. Welcome to the committee. Identify yourself for the record and give us your 2 minutes of testimony.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. Thank you for this opportunity to present our proposal. My name is Stephanie Rothstein, and I have the honor of serving in a leadership role at United Way. I'm here today to express a strong support for this partnership between UWCM, our organization, and both Hooyo Hour and Ambassadors of Culture. As you may have inferred through Dr. Ibrahim's testimony, including statistics regarding the workforce challenges in St. Cloud, you may also infer this collaboration is also essential in advancing workforce development efforts in our area, particularly for our growing and diverse community. Because our organization is strategically poised to support workforce development due to our strong partnerships we have with different leaders in the workforce employment realm, we at United Way are committed to supporting the capacity building efforts of both of these organizations to ensure they have the resources needed to expand the job and skills training programs described. By investing in culturally responsive workforce initiatives, this partnership will help community members gain meaningful employment, strengthen local businesses, and promote economic growth. I urge you to support this initiative, which will empower individuals, mothers, and young people with the skills and opportunities needed for long-term success while fostering a more inclusive and prosperous St. Cloud. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you so much. Any questions for Senator Putnam or his testifiers? Seeing none, a brief closing comments, and then we will lay Senate file number 29. Where am I? Okay, 29 on the table for possible inclusion. 49 on the table for possible inclusion. Senator Putnam.
Just thank you very much, Mr. Chair, for listening to this proposal. We very much appreciate your attention and your time.
Thank you so very much. With that being said, Senate file number 2949 will be laid on the table for possible inclusion. We now go to Senator Hur with Senate file number 1798. Members, remember that time. We will go a little past our time because the next committee has agreed to allow us to get some more time. But that doesn't mean that people become long-winded. I need you to be right to the point. With that being said, I know. Ms. Nona, if you can give us a financial picture, that would be great. And this is for Senate File 1798.
Mr. Chair and committee members, Senate File 1798 is proposing $2.25 million in fiscal year 2026 for the Neighborhood Development Center. And in the past, the Neighborhood Development Center has received $5 million in fiscal year 2024 from the jobs budget, and that's just a standalone appropriation to the center. I believe they've also received funding through other grant programs, but I just included the direct appropriation.
Sounds good. Thank you so much. With that being said, Senator Hur, if you can give us a brief overview, and then you can introduce your two testifiers, and we'll go from there. Senator Hurd.
Thank you, Chair Champion and members. I'm going to be short on my introduction, so I allow members to speak, and so we can stay according to time. Senate File 1798 is a bill funding for the Neighborhood Development Center in St. Paul, and the Neighborhood Development Center, NDC, has a track record of 31 years connecting low-income minority entrepreneurs to the opportunities needed for success through its 4-year pillar programs like training, technical assistance, lending, and small business incubator. I'm going to pass this time to my testifier, Mr. Shahir Ahmed, and Vice President of Business Service at NDC. And the second testifier, sorry, here.
All right, we'll go to the first one.
Let's go to the first one.
All right. With that being stated, identify yourself for the record and give us your 2 minutes of testimony.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chair Champion and committee members. My name is Shahir Ahmed, Vice President of Business Services with Neighborhood Development Center. I want to say for a moment, Ms. Renee Dossman was not able to be here today and sincerely regrets not being here. So I'll do my best to fill in. As Senator Hurd mentioned, we are a 30-year-old organization located here in the Twin Cities. We do 4 things: training, entrepreneur training and workshops to, on average, about 200 entrepreneurs a year, helping those entrepreneurs to think about and ideate their business ideas and to bring those business ideas into a business plan that they can use that business plan as a tool to access more programs and services. The next pillar of our services is access to capital. We are a CDFI, which allows us to lend up to $250,000 to entrepreneurs, depending on their need and their ask of their business. The third pillar of our program, of our services, is business services or technical assistance, which is wraparound services that we offer to the entrepreneurs along their journey of entrepreneurship. We do this in 3 categories: general business management, marketing and branding, and accounting and bookkeeping. I'll mention accounting and bookkeeping again in just a moment. And then our 4th pillar of services we offer to entrepreneurs within the Twin Cities is incubator spaces. I'm sure many of you may have heard of Midtown Global Market. We own and operate that property. That is a physical example of those entrepreneurs that are on that first floor that are operating their businesses. They have either gone through our trainings, received loan dollars from us, or technical assistance. So that's a physical example of the work we do and have done for the past 30 years. I'd like to highlight a few of our outcomes over the years. We partner with Wilder Research here in St. Paul, who provides us with research data and surveying our entrepreneurs.
Thank you, Mr. Ahmed. We appreciate that. If there's any additional information that you'd like for us to have, please feel free to submit that, and we'll make sure it's passed out to the committee. Okay?
Absolutely. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much. And if you had one last sentence, what would it be?
Our ask for the biennial budget would be $2.25 million, which would allow us to do core program services, technical assistance by building financial management to entrepreneurs, capacity building in greater Minnesota, and cybersecurity.
I didn't say a long run on that.
That was, I tried to do it all as one, but yeah. Thank you, sir.
Dalton Outlaw, if you identify yourself for the record and give us your 2 minutes of testimony.
Okay. Chair Champion, members of the committee, thank you for allowing me to testify here today. My name is Dalton Outlaw. I'm a father, husband, business owner, and affordable housing developer, born and raised in Frogtown neighborhood here in St. Paul. I'm here today to share how the Neighborhood Development Center has helped me overcome challenges and achieve success. As the founder and CEO of Element Boxing Gym and Outlaw Development, I faced many barriers starting at a young age, growing up in a low-income household. Poverty takes its toll on your mental, physical, and emotional health, making success even harder to achieve. Despite earning a college degree, I still lacked the resources to grow my businesses. That changed when I connected with NDC. From the start, they treated me like family, even when I didn't own anything. They helped me expand and scale my businesses tenfold. And for their mentorship, and they led me to becoming a 2-time entrepreneur of the year amongst receiving other notable awards. Most recently, NDC financed my 6-unit affordable housing project on the east side of St. Paul without any unnecessary barriers. Unlike traditional lenders, they didn't just invest in a project, they invested in me. Their support has allowed me to create opportunities, not just for myself, but for my employees, for my community, and future generations. As a father of 5 sons, my success has inspired them. They now have a goal of continuing and expanding our family businesses when they grow up. Thanks to NDC, they now have the foundation and support to build on this legacy. This bill on the table will enable NDC to strengthen its mission while most importantly continuing to empower entrepreneurs that they serve. By increasing resources and access to opportunities, each dollar will help plant seeds in entrepreneurs to build for future generations. I stand here as proof of what's possible when organizations invest in entrepreneurs, not just in their businesses, but in their dreams. For that, I'm forever grateful. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so very much, and thank you for staying within that 2 minutes. I sincerely appreciate that. Any questions for Senator Hur or any of the testifiers before we lay this bill on the table for possible inclusion? Seeing none, Senator Hur, brief comments before we lay it over for possible inclusion.
Well, I also want to mention that NDC also reached the greater Minnesota and have partners in Duluth and Moorhead as well. They're doing great work. I also want to also mention and thank my co-authors, Senator Draheim, Senator Pratt, and Senator Mohamed.
With that being said, Senate file number 1798 will be laid over for possible inclusion. Senator Draheim, if you would join us. We are now looking at Senate file number 3085, and Senator Draheim has 2 testifiers. There's Dr. Wade Swinson and also Dr. Emily McGovern. If you could join him at the table, that would be great. And we'll go to Ms. Noner to see the financial picture.
Mr. Chair.
The other one is virtual. Ms. Noner.
Mr. Chair and committee members, Senate File 3085 is proposing $300,000 in fiscal year 2026 and $300,000 in fiscal year 2027 from the Workforce Development Fund for the Rural Cancer Institute. And to my knowledge and recent history, the Institute has not received jobs funding.
Thank you so much. Okay. Senator Draheim, if you give us an overview of 3085, and then we'll go to your testifiers.
Thank you, Chair. Members, we all know the healthcare landscape of rural Minnesota is really changing. A lot of consolidation, a lot of closing of hospitals, clinics throughout rural Minnesota, and this is a concept that I think will help immensely in rural Minnesota and bring that cancer care real close to home and expand the reach across the state. So with that, I'd go to testifiers, Chair.
Thank you so much. Dr. Wade Swinson, will you identify yourself for the record, and welcome to the committee. Provide your 2 minutes of testimony.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Senators, Chair, and committee members. My name is Dr. Wade Swinson. I'm a medical oncologist with 20 years of experience living and serving rural cancer patients in Minnesota. Today, I'm here to advocate for the Rural Cancer Institute's pilot program under Senate File 3085, a critical step toward addressing cancer disparities in rural Minnesota. The need is urgent. We currently lack the capacity in the state to effectively care for our rural patients with cancer. According to the Minnesota Hospital Association, a rural Minnesotan travels over 75 miles one way for cancer care. According to the Minnesota Department of Health data, only 2 oncologists are based in rural Minnesota. Rural Minnesotans travel hours for their treatment, draining their finances and energy when they're already fighting for their lives. Our pilot program builds on a proven model. The state-funded RPAP, or Rural Physician Associate Program, has successfully placed primary care doctors in rural areas for years. At my hospital, 84% of family physicians were part of the RPAP program. We're taking that blueprint and tailoring it for oncology, exposing clinicians in training to the realities and rewards of rural practice. This is a tested and practical approach. Speaking of economics, it's more than just the health of the patients. It boosts local economies. As a rule of thumb, a rural oncologist generates more than $2 million in downstream revenue for their facility. It also supports about 5 to 8 jobs, nurses, pharmacists, and technicians, keeping healthcare dollars in the community. Our goal is clear. With a $600,000 appropriation, this pilot will expose the next generation of trainees to rural oncology practice and grow the next generation of rural and community oncologists. The solution isn't just expanding outreach clinics, it's changing the model of delivery and an investment ensuring rural Minnesotans aren't left behind simply because of where they live. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Doctor. You're the first doctor I ever seen that was on time.
Very good.
No, I love doctors. All right, we're going to go to Dr. Emily McGovern, who is with us virtually.
Hello, I hope I'm number 2 for on time, docs. Good afternoon, Chair and Committee. Thanks for having us today. My name is Dr. Emily McGovern. I'm currently speaking from our clinic at Lakewood Health System in Staples, Minnesota, where I'm a medical oncologist. I'm also a co-founder of the Rural Cancer Institute, who's here today speaking. I'm here to support the Bill 3085, appropriating the $600,000 biannually to the Rural Cancer Institute's pilot program, which our goal would be to expand oncology care here in rural Minnesota. At the Rural Cancer Institute, in conjunction with Lakewood Health System, we're pretty uniquely positioned to have access to this pilot program because of our deep-rooted teaching culture and also our ability to train future healthcare and especially rural healthcare professionals. Each year, we have students from the University of Minnesota that come to learn at our institution. We equip them with the tools they need to provide excellent rural health care. This longstanding commitment to education at our site has really helped our PAP students who rotate with us choose to come back and make their practice here in our clinic. By building upon this educational foundation, we're hoping that we can expand our teaching capacity even more, and we will be in the next 2 years by joining teams with the University of Minnesota as well as North Memorial Hospital to have the first family medicine residency program that's based at a critical access hospital site. So we're hoping to use this model with the kind of looking at it through the oncology lens to have our same pilot program bring people out into rural areas and then want them to stay at our local setting. So we're hoping with Lakewood's educational infrastructure, along with our pilot program idea and your monetary support, that we could have good synergy and provide skills and show our commitment to continue the workforce in rural Minnesota. Your investment in this program will directly impact our healthcare here in our region as well as the outstate region of Minnesota, and will also continue to help boost our local economies and our community presence. Thank you for considering this bill.
Well, I did say you're the only doctor that I've seen on time. No, she was on time too, but
Very good.
But my doctor's on time. I don't want you to take it personal. I love doctors. Any questions for Senator Draheim or any of the testifiers? Senator Nelson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Senator Draheim, for bringing this bill. We know this is important. I just have a couple questions about how the, I think 300,000 would be used. I don't know, will it be providing actual training that leads to credentials? Kind of just explain to me how the 300,000 is going to be used to help get more oncologists in rural Minnesota.
Senator Draheim or the testifier.
Sure. Dr. Swanson.
Happy to do that. So yes, this money would allow us to be able to do this program. So it would allow us to bring medical students, residents, or fellows into a rural practice. I can give an example of Zach, who is a second-year medical student at Kansas, who spent his first week, actually my first week at Lakewood, he spent a week there. His plan was to be a rural family practice doc. After being exposed to a rural oncology practice, he's now applying to become a rural oncologist in Kansas. We can do the same thing here, and it really allows us to do this. It's quite complicated when you get into the specifics of accreditation and the different processes we have to go through. So it would allow us to do that. It would allow us to provide housing and opportunities to be able to bring students, residents, and fellows to this practice in hopes that they would see the value. We are, in Staples, where I'm located, we see oncology practices closing all around us. Bemidji has no medical oncologist or radiation oncologist. They fly in from Fargo. I was in practice in clinic in Morris yesterday. We had a patient come over from Benson, which has a community hospital, and they used to get outreach from Wilmer. Wilmer doesn't have any oncologists located in their town anymore, so they stopped doing outreach there. Wilmer relies on locum tenens, so I feel like we're going the wrong direction. A third of my patients at Lakewood go to Mayo Clinic for a portion of their care. We can't obviously do everything at Lakewood, but I'm a general oncologist, and at Mayo Clinic there's very specialized oncologists. And so it's really in rural Minnesota, it's really a rural-urban collaboration to care for patients. But you need those general oncologists in the communities and rural spaces to be able to do their part.
Any follow-up, excuse me, I almost called you Dr. Nelson. Senator Nelson?
Yeah, thank you. Well, yes, I understand everything that you've said and the importance. As you said, the credentialing, that is a major, long process. So I just am wondering how if the 300,000, I understand providing housing, a stipend, the credentialing, I'm just not quite clear on that.
Yeah,
so that's just kind of what I wanted to
And
understand.
Doctor, if you could, give her that information briefly, because I know that sometimes people like to go into various stories. I just need us to answer the question so we can go forward.
Yeah.
Dr. Swenson.
Housing, promoting the program, getting, growing collaborations, going to meetings to get to get our name out there so that people are aware of this. There's a lot of pieces to this, and I'm hoping that that money will allow us to get our word out there and be able to get this program filled up throughout the year, hopefully with monthly installments of residents and fellows coming through.
And there's some additional information in the packet, if that will also help. Senator Nelson.
Just a final thing, do you have radiation suites already and all those type of things?
To the testifier,
yes.
You're nodding your head, yes? Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you,
Senator Housley.
Thank you, Dr. Champion. I knew you'd like that one.
I like that. I like the sound.
Thank you, Chair Champion, and thank you, Dr. Swenson and Dr. McGovern, for coming today. And Senator Draheim, I want to thank you for bringing this bill, because I love when there's innovative ideas, especially around this and anything that can increase cancer clinicians in rural Minnesota. I think is a great idea for a pilot project, and I look forward to hopefully being able to vote for that in the bill and having you come back to let us know how it goes. So thank you.
Thank you. Senator Gustafson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Sorry. And thank you, Senator Draheim. I also think that this is a great bill, and I just sent you an email to ask if I could add my name before all these other people want to. But I do think anything we can do for healthcare right now, especially with the uncertainty of what's going to be happening and how all of that's going to be organized as far as federal funding goes, whatever we can do to help encourage healthcare, especially in our rural areas, I think is important. So hopefully we will be able to make room for this bill in the omnibus. Thank you.
Any other questions? Senator Pratt.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll just do two quick questions in one. Thank you, Senator Draheim, for bringing this. I think it's an interesting concept. How many clinical oncology workers will you train each year, and how long is the training program?
To the testifier.
So that's to be determined. At Lakewood right now, we have 2 medical oncologists, 3 nurse practitioners. We have 1 radiation oncologist coming for our radiation program and another medical oncologist. So we'll have quite a few people to help build this program. But I suspect at first is going to, as we're getting this started, it'll be likely 1 person per month. And it's really exposing them to this. And it could be that they spend a month with us. It could be they spend a year with us. It's really about exposure and gaining, really changing the narrative about how cancer care is delivered in communities and rural practices.
Follow-up, Senator Pratt.
I just wanted to double check. So roughly 1 per month, 12 per year?
To the testifier.
Hopefully, yes.
Thank you, Senator Pratt. Any other questions? All right. Seeing no further questions, if you can give us your brief closing there, Senator Draheim, and we'll lay Senate file number 3085 on the table for possible inclusion after your comments.
Thank you, and the great discussion. I know this is very unique. It's an economic program too, because the bigger the program gets, there's going to be more support staff, and then hopefully it'll spread to other locations. And when we look, the sheer number just in my area of services that have been closed for medical care is astonishing. I never thought I would see it diminish as fast as it has. So here we're helping the rural communities. We're helping train doctors that will save lives, and then the support staff, the pharmacists, the nurses, the technicians, et cetera. So I do think it's really one of a kind, and I think it complements everybody else's districts. So I think I'm the only one that is really what I would consider rural. You know, I know everybody has rural parts, or most of you have rural parts, but you're close to a city, and that has medical care nearby. But just think if it was your loved one, your husband, your wife, your kid that had to get cancer care. And would you want to drive a couple hours, 2-3 hours each way? And if you've been to the doctor lately, it's pretty hard to get in. And then if you have multiple appointments, so I think we need to do more. I think this is a great example on how we can do more. So I hope it'll be in the year-end bill. And Dr. Champion, thank you.
Thank you so much. With that being said, Senate File 3085 is laid on the table for possible inclusion. We're going to go to Senate File number 3177 while the other bill is being handed out, because I want to keep us going. So we're going to go to bill again, 3177, Senator Mohamed in Explore, Minnesota. We see Lauren Bennett McGinty, who's the executive director there. So Senator Mohamed, before you start, I'm going to go to Ms. Noner so she can give us a financial picture.
Mr. Chair and committee members, Senate File 3177 has policy changes in it, so I won't touch on any financial aspects.
All right, and there's an A1 amendment, and Senator Mohamed, are you moving the A1 amendment so the bill is in the shape that you like?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Any questions about the amendment? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. The motion prevails. The A1 is adopted. Now before the committee is Senate File number 3177 as amended. Senator Mohamed.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Before you is Senate File 3177, and I have Lauren with me, who is the Executive Director of Explore Minnesota. Lauren has been leading the agency's efforts to promote Minnesota as a premier destination for visitors, businesses, and talent. Today, we're here to present Senate File 3177, a technical and housekeeping bill that updates Minnesota Statutes 116U. This bill ensures that Explore Minnesota's statutory language reflects its expanded mission, which now includes economic opportunity, outdoor recreation, film. This update clarifies existing language and removes redundancies and aligns promotional authority with the agency's evolving work. And I'd like to turn over to my testifier.
All right. Introduce yourself for the record, and welcome to the committee, and give us your 2 minutes of testimony.
Sounds good. Thank you, Chair. My name is Lauren Bennett McGinty, Executive Director of Explore Minnesota. Good to see you all again. This bill should be hopefully the easiest one of the day for you. We are just clarifying and cleaning things up. I've spent a lot of time with you all over the last few years, and as you know, things have been added to our purview, such as Explore Minnesota for Business, Explore Minnesota Film, and we also, on behalf of a task force that was created a few years ago, work on the economic impact of outdoor recreation and include that in all of our work as well. So this is really cleaning things up, putting everything in our mission so it's not redundant throughout the statute. The impact is minimal on the work that we're doing. We really just wanted to clarify and make sure that the mission aligned with everything else that's been added over the last several years. And the goal of the amendment that was introduced is really just to provide clarity on the intent after conversations that we had in the House on this very bill. So we just wanted to make sure that the intent was clear, that tourism is still very much a part of all of the work that we do, and that we will be kind of adjusting accordingly based on that feedback. But other than that, I'm happy to take any questions.
Members, you should see your bill summary in your packet that provides some background. Any questions? Senator Draheim.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Senator Mohamed, for bringing the bill forward. You know, I guess my question has to do with the top of page 3. Provide local communities a reasonable level of support to improve their marketing programs as they relate to the mission of the office. Can you just expand on what you mean by that, and then what are you doing to achieve that goal with our local communities?
To the testifier.
Thank you, Chair and Senator Draheim. Yes, so we currently do a lot of grant work with different communities around the state. We also do co-op marketing, and those are specifically to help destination marketing organizations or, whatever your local community might be, like Visit Northfield, for example, right? So we provide grants on a regular basis to them. 2 years ago, the committee approved some funding, so we were able to give recovery grants. That is really what it means. It's sort of technical support as needed. We also do educational programming, and then the co-op program is where we buy down the cost of advertising so that destination marketing organizations as well as other nonprofits in tourism can purchase advertising at a lower cost.
Any other questions?
Real quick.
Senator Draheim.
Thank you. So can you just, if I was Rich, the city of Rich, and I wanted people to come to my fine city, what kind of co-op, so I assume it's marketing on a regional scale, and you buy at a better rate than what I would, so they would partner with you, you both would tag the bottom of the ad. What kind of discount would I expect?
To the testifier.
Thank you, Chair and Senator Draheim. You anywhere up to 80% of the cost typically, and it's things like Star Tribune or the public radio stations, iHeartMedia. We do a couple of other more specific kind of media buys. You'll also maybe perhaps if you're driving down the highway, you'll see Explore Minnesota's logo with the city of Rich, and we are able to sort of help buy down those costs too.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Senator Pratt.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and Senator Draheim kind of touched on one of my questions, and that was going to be, we have visitor bureaus in a number of communities already. How does this change the relationship with those local visitor bureaus?
To the testifier.
Thank you, Chair and Senator Pratt. This does not change any of those local relationships. We continue to do the work that we're doing. I think in the bill, it was literally just clarifying the sort of development strategy. So in the event that should we have more funding for something like grants for workforce attraction, which we currently do not have, it is available. We have the option to do that, so it's not hyper-specific, but at this time it doesn't change anything, and we'll continue to offer grants, co-op funding, and other educational resources to all of the communities that we work with.
Any other questions? Seeing none, your final comment, Senator Mohamed, before we lay Senate File number 3177 on the table for possible inclusion, as amended.
Thank you for considering our bill, Mr. Chair.
Thank you so much. With that being said, Senate File number 3177, as amended, is laid on the table for possible inclusion. Members, you got an additional bill that happened. This is Senate File number 2500, so we'll bring Musa Hashi and Mohamed Ismail to the table. There had to be a change because some of them are not available this evening, and so we will do this expeditiously before we get to our last bill, and I want to thank DADS for being so patient. That's what happens sometimes when the chair is carrying the bill. You're last, right? All right, with that being said, we're going to go to Ms. Noner, who's going to give us a financial picture before we go to Senator Mohamed for an overview.
Mr. Chair and committee members, Senate File 2500 is proposing $100,000 in fiscal year 2026 from the Workforce Development Fund for the Somali American Youth Enrichment Club. And this club in the past, or at least in recent history, has not received jobs funding.
All right, Senator Mohamed, for your overview, and then we'll go to your testifiers.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I will try to keep it short so that your next testifiers aren't waiting long. Before you, Senate File 2500. This bill provides a one-time $100,000 direct appropriation in fiscal year 2026 to the Somali American Youth Enrichment Club, or SAYEC. This initiative recognizes the critical role that community-driven programs play in empowering our youth and strengthening our neighborhoods. SAYEC serves a lot of young people. annually in the Twin Cities around 75 or more, providing them with academic support, recreational opportunities, and leadership development through programs like the Girls Swimming Club, youth sports, tutoring, and parent education. SAYEC ensures that underserved youth have access to culturally responsive and holistic opportunities that help them thrive. Investing in our young people is not just the right thing to do, it is economically smart. When we provide spaces where youth can grow academically, physically, emotionally, and socially, we build a stronger future for Minnesota. This bill seeks to expand access to these vital programs, ensuring that more young people, especially those from immigrant communities and refugees backgrounds, have the resources they need in order to be successful. Mr. Chair, this is one of those organizations that every dime that they've gotten over the since 2010, they've been created. Not a lot of money, but every dollar goes to the youth and not to the folks who are running the programs, because those are not staff that have their own individual full-time jobs, but they also serve as volunteers.
Thank you, Senator Mohamed. And so who's going first? If you identify yourself for the record and give us your 2 minutes of testimony, and we just press for time.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. My name is Ishmael Saeed, and I sincerely appreciate the opportunity to speak with you today in support of Senate File 2500. I serve as a volunteer program director of Somali American Youth Enrichment Club, also known as SAYEC. We are a community-based organization focused on empowering underserved youth through education, leadership development, and recreational programming. The impact SAYEC has had on my life is the very reason I'm standing before you today. My journey with this organization began as a participant playing soccer at the age of 12. Over time, I became a coach, then a mentor, and now I serve as a program director. I've seen firsthand how powerful a community-led organization can be. Through programs such as our Youth Soccer League, our Girls Swimming Initiative, and our tutoring and mentoring services, we've been able to positively influence the lives of countless youth. These programs have been made possible thanks to the dedication of our volunteers who have given their time, energy, and personal resources to support our youth. But we can't do it alone. Today I'm here to ask for your support and investment in our youth, many of whom are underserved and underrepresented. With your help, we can continue to build a future where every child has the opportunity to grow, thrive, and lead. Thank you again for your time and for your support on Senate File 2500.
Thank you so much. Now we'll go to the other testifier. If you identify yourself for the record and give us your 2 minutes of testimony.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Musa Hanshi. I'm 16 years old and a sophomore at Harding Senior High School. I wanted to come up here and talk about how much SAYEC has impacted me. I joined the program around the age of 6 and have been a part of it ever since. SAYEC taught me many lessons, both on and off the field. SAYEC taught me it's okay to fail as long as you don't give up and that you use it as a tool for success. SAYEC made me a beast on the field, but also in the classroom. With the help and support of SAYEC, I'm able to maintain a 3.7 GPA in high school. Even some of the most important relationships in my life can be traced back to SAYEC. I've come to learn that SAYEC isn't just an organization, it's a family that strives to see each other succeed. The bonds I've made and the memories I've created with SAYEC make this organization unlike anything else I've ever been a part of. I thank you, Mr. Chair, and members of the committee for taking the time to hear about my experience, and I hope we can gain your support. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your testimony. Any questions for Senator Mohamed or the testifiers? Seeing none, your closing comments. Senator Hur.
Mr. Chair, did I hear the testifier? I couldn't get his name, but he said he goes to Harding High School?
He did say he goes to Harding High School.
Eastside Pride, right here.
Yes, sir. Good. Any other questions? Seeing none, Senator Mohamed, your brief comments before we lay this bill on the table for possible inclusion.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair, for considering this. You know, I feel like a lot of bills come through this committee. We've heard them. I think 2 years ago I brought All Square, and I brought them again because I think they have a huge impact. This is another organization that I've had the opportunity to get to know over the interim, and I think they do incredible work. So thank you for considering them.
Thank you so much. With that being said, Senate File number 2500 will be laid on the table for possible inclusion. Members will now go to Senate File number 2426. While I'm walking to the table, if Ms. Noner can give us a financial picture, that'd be great so we can move expeditiously.
Mr. Chair and committee members, Senate File 2426 is proposing $400,000 in fiscal year 2026 from the general fund for DADS of Minneapolis. And in recent history, there has not been jobs funding for this organization.
Madam Chair, thank you so much. We recognize that there's a lot going on. I just want to tell you quickly about DADS and the Youth Workforce Development Program. That program empowers young people between the ages of 16 to 24 by providing job training, mentorship, and career readiness skills to help them break cycles of poverty and violence. The program focuses on equipping young folks or youth with hands-on experience, professional certifications, and life skills that prepare them for sustainable employment. Through partnerships with local businesses, trade schools, and community organizations, they connect participants with real job opportunities while offering support in areas like financial literacy, conflict resolution, and personal development. By investing in these young people, they not only strengthen our workforce, but they also create safer, more prosperous communities. This program is not just an initiative, it's a lifeline, a second chance, and a bridge to a better future. With that being said, I have two wonderful testifiers who's prepared to stay within their time. We will go with Jordan Bohr-Nelson, who's the Executive Director of DADS, who's sitting to my left here, and then Dario Otero, who is the Workforce Development Program Director, who's sitting to my right. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And Jordan, you have 2 minutes. You may begin.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator Champion and members of the committee for hearing us today. Good afternoon. My name is Jordan Bohr-Nelson, and I serve as the Executive Director of DADS Minneapolis. DADS is a nationally recognized organization that has been serving communities since 1989, with a strong presence in Minneapolis since 1998. For over 25 years, we've been dedicated to positive youth development, workforce training, and community violence intervention. We work directly with youth and adults impacted by the justice system, gang involvement, and addiction, helping them find hope, purpose, and opportunity. Since our inception, we have intentionally employed individuals with these backgrounds, providing them with the support and skills needed to turn their lives around. This proposed youth workforce development program would allow us to expand those efforts, specifically reaching young people ages 16 to 24, an age group at a critical crossroads. Studies show that programs like this can reduce violent crime among young people by up to 43%, decreasing both their likelihood of becoming victims and perpetrators of violence. So by investing in this initiative, we give youth in the Twin Cities metro area the opportunity to develop critical skills and knowledge to create equity with their communities, provide opportunities for generational wealth, and decrease the likelihood of them being victims of violent crime or committing violent crime within their communities. We like to say we are not just providing jobs, we are changing futures by creating careers, strengthening communities, and creating a safer Twin Cities metro area. Thank you.
Next, we'll go with Dario. You have 2 minutes.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Senator Champion, and thank you, committee. Good afternoon. My name is Dario Otero. I'm the program director there at DADS, and one of the questions that I ask is, what do you want to be when you grow up? That's what we hear a lot of times when you're young and you're growing up. And so young people hear this all the time. Over the past 15 years, that's been my mission in my life's work, helping young people, whether it's at the High School for Recording Arts or a company I own called Youth Lens 360, where young people have the ability to get into video production and services and work with corporate companies. And now at DADS, where we're building this workforce development program and using relationships that we have in communities over the last 15 years with schools, with colleges, with programs that help them with career exploration, be able to help enter into careers in the healthcare industry, manufacturing, IT, skills trade, HVAC, all these sectors that right now need these young people. These young people right now are often having issues with families and things that where they're dealing with incarceration or probation or parole. And we know that those create gaps that these young people have to go and fall through the crack. They have to go through those struggles to be able to come to the next phase of their life, right? And so this workforce program is built over the last 15 years of experience of working with young people and really has the ability to use a curriculum that will get them into the community, help them use their skills and talents to be able to solve critical issues in these different industries. And so we're asking you for that support from the community to be able to help these young people over the summer, over the next 2 years, be able to find those opportunities.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I know we had a long day and we even have a longer evening, so I'm going to stop there and just remind you that there's a workforce program information that's in your packet, and we'll be happy to stand for any questions.
Thank you. Members, any questions for Senator Champion or his testifiers? Senator Draheim.
Thank you, Chair. And Chair Champion, I guess my question has to do with the 990. And I'm just surprised, and maybe a little explanation would be the last line. I'm on the back page of the 990. It says program consultants, 494,653, and then operation consultants, 60,883. And just wondering what these consultants are used for, for training. Is that nomenclature or what?
To the testifier. Dario, or?
Yes, so that is a line item because the way that we do our finances is the program consultants we hire people for the program. So we work with prisons and we also work with youth in the juvenile justice system, and we give them opportunities at jobs as contractors for them to be able to learn and grow and get the skills and knowledge and development. And when we did our audit, our auditor suggested that those people who were hiring to do the work in the field and also go through the training be put under there as program consultants.
Senator Draheim, follow-up?
So thank you, Chair, and thank you for the answer. So they're independent contractors then? Is that, so you hire 1099 employees instead of W-2 employees?
We hire both. Oh, I'm sorry.
Mr. Nelson?
Madam Chair, and then Senator Draheim. I was just going to say, go ahead.
All right. We hire both. So if someone is coming to be on a long-term contract with us, like we do community violence intervention work, those individuals, we hire them as W-2 employees. But if someone is coming through one of our workforce program and they're on like a 3 to 6 month time frame with us, they come in for a part-time contractual job with us while they're getting the training skills. One example would be we just had an individual released from prison. He started working with us, I believe, in November, and now he just got hired on as a public works department employee with the city of Minneapolis.
Senator Draheim?
I'm good, thank you.
Okay. Members, any other questions? Seeing none, Senate File 2426 will be laid over for possible inclusion.
And last comments tonight, we start at 5:30. If you all could be on time, that would be very helpful because we have roughly 9 to 10 bills up. So, Madam Chair, I'm certain that I was just helping you out there, but you don't need any help because you are the one. So just let us know if there are any further questions.
I should have given you last comments, Mr. Chair. I apologize. Members, that concludes our business for part 1 of our committee hearing. We will be reconvening, like Senator Champion said, at 5:30 p.m. to finish the rest of our agenda. Please be on time, that's for me, so we can be respectful of our testifiers. With that, the committee is in recess until 5:30 p.m.
All right, thank you.